it's been amazing because, this has always been home, and but for the last few years, there's just been so much incredible activities going on back at home in terms of the music, the culture, also a lot of people of African descent, African Americans, have been returning home, and Ghana has been the place of connection. And for me too, being an artist too, who has spent a lot of time in Los Angeles, in America, in different parts of the world, I feel that my experience and my insight and cultural sensitivity for both worlds, it's needed now more than ever. So being here has been amazing because um, I am advising, inspiring at the same time too, just being part of that new chapter of Africa that is unraveling. So it's been amazing. It's really been amazing.
That's great to hear. Speaking of that, you're the global ambassador for World Day of African and Afro-descendant culture. So,
Yes.
that's a huge deal. And you've done a lot of work over the years, I feel like, with the UN. Can you just sort of dive into that a little bit?
Well, January 24th, an organization out of Togo called RAPEG, and the government of Togo, declared the day January 24th as a day to really honor and celebrate Africans and then the people of African descent. And that was, presented to the United Nations through UNESCO. And then after, a host of countries, member states ratified and, signed on to that day, there was, they decided that, okay, this year will be the inaugural day. And then prior to that too, I had been invited to Costa Rica to commemorate the year of people of Africa and African descent. So I was part of the United Nations and the government and all the countries, within the region of the Americas celebrating that day. So before even my designation as the official ambassador for the celebration of the day, I was being pulled in different parts of the diaspora, different parts of America, being part of the celebration, joining government, joining UN organizations. And, so when this day was commemorated, it was, all the sectors of, Ghanaian society, all the sectors of African society, all the sectors of, UN societies, global leaders, African leaders, cultural leaders, all gathered for the commemoration of the day. And then, I was outdoored as the ambassador for that day. I think the role is a role that I have already been playing for a long time, but it gives it a much more recognized role. And at the same time, too, it equips me with the mandate to be a primary voice for, connecting our people. And then right on the heels of that, too, the African Union also recognized the diaspora as the sixth region of Africa. Africa has five regions, but then the diaspora was recognized as the sixth region, but it was never officially recognized by the African Union. And then this year it was recognized, and I was part of the celebration of that day. So it's been an amazing year of, recognition of the contribution of Black people to global culture, the recognition of Black people within Africa, and the recognition of the cultural ties and the historic and spiritual ties to the diaspora. So that's how the year has started for me, and it has been incredible and inspiring so far. My first nomination was in 2016, which also happens to be the first nomination for my country, Ghana. And then this year too, I'm nominated for Best Global Music Album. and it's also the second nomination out of my count for my country, and I am honored that it came through the works that I've been doing. So it's so far an incredible year, and I'm thankful for that.
Tell us a little bit about this album that you're nominated for, and the process. I mean, when did you record it? Were you in Ghana? Was it during the pandemic? How was the process for this?
Well, this album was, first of all, it was really, post when I was nominated in 2016. The follow-up album was Beats of Zion, and Beats of Zion was expanding upon my signature Afro roots sound, which, it's a sound that, I combine elements of reggae music, elements of Afro beats, elements of high life music, and then global pop. And when Beats of Zion was recorded, I felt that the follow-up, work has to go a bit deeper into, traditional sounds, because traditional sounds with, less of a production approach to mar some of the elements that were indigenous. So this one started with me, first of all, free forming, writing music. And then when the crisis hit, I was stuck in Ghana. So that also drove me into, a creative spirit at that moment. And I was inviting, traditional musicians, who will come to my house, and come and hang out with me. We'll work on projects. And then I was also experimenting with, delving deeper into, cultural sounds like palm wine high life, which is at the roots of high life music, And what I felt was that I was going to approach these indigenous sounds, but at the same time, too, not relegate them into, relics of the past, but add elements of modern production, very minimal, but at the same time, too, to update their sound. So a song like Wara on the album is pure, it's pure palm wine high life. But what I did was that there was an 808 in the back. And at the same time, too, the approach to, because of my songwriting approach, from learning from, the likes of Bob Dylan, Bob Marley, all of these incredible songwriters that I've studied over the years, I try to bring, a songwriting approach to a classic African sound and a musical format. So I used the choruses were based upon the call and response, but I made sure that the melodic aspect, the changes and getting a solid song structure to it were all intact. So that was kind of the approach that I used entirely on the album, is indigenous sounds, at the same time, touching on elements that were important both within Africa and also the diaspora, but at the same time too, making sure that I added, the songwriting and elements that will make it still very contemporary and, communicate and be acceptable to other discerning listeners within and without of Africa. So that was kind of how the process and the vision of this album came to fruition.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. Now, I know we're really focused on what's going on right now, but what do you have? And I know this is kind of a vague question because I'm sure you have a lot of things going on, but what are some of the highlights of what you're working on presently?
The highlights, I just feel that I've been recording a lot, and, I went through a very creative, moment and recorded a lot of music. And I feel that some of the stuff that I've recorded right now are global in nature, but they're also, in terms of lyrically, very reflective of the times in which we live in, because, unless you live under a rock, you're affected by the issues that are global. It doesn't matter what side of the divide that you're coming from. And I feel that it is a time that we also start to question, our reality, start to question the systems that are in place, start to question leadership, start to question reality, start to question the divisions that have been amplified by whether it's social media, whether it's your political viewpoint, whether it's your moral viewpoint, your racial viewpoint. I feel that we are at a crossroads where people need to take, you know, people need to look critically at what is going on and ask questions. At the same time, to question their complicity or to to amplifying, whether it's negativity, whether it's whether it's to also contribute to the division that is going on in the world, or contributing to creating a medium of inclusion around the world. So I feel that all those things are also questions that I've been asking myself, and they are becoming very evident in my writing. And at the same time, too, some of them are very hard-edged because some of them are indicting humanity, and some of them too are very as subtle as taking a deep look in terms of myself too, and trying to find oasis of love, compassion, and all these elements that I feel that if we go to the basic roots of our humanity, could be the key to connecting all of us. In the long run, regardless of what is happening, if we don't come to the fundamentals and respect each other as, kind of branches of this beautiful tree of life, then we're going to lose sight of ultimately what makes us human, And I feel that the works that I'm doing and the recordings that I'm currently doing are a reflective of that. Well, you see, right now, I'm very interested, just because I've been focusing inwards, in Africa. Now, I am based here. I am a product of both this continent and also the West and globally, and there are certain artists that I have respected over the years that I would love the opportunity to collaborate with. Without mincing words, artists like Kendrick Lamar, and artists I feel like cutting edge, and I want to really see how, if their gaze is turned back to Africa, in terms of my immense understanding of African music and also Western music, how I'll be able to craft and also direct a sonic palette that will create something progressive and new. I really also, love, what Kamasi Washington is doing with jazz, and I've always wanted to I've known Kamasi, and, I was like, how will somebody like Kamasi, in terms of collaboration, bringing him here and, bringing all the African musicians and artists to work on a project that he's involved in, like where that will go. I have also loved, people like, Erica Badu, new cutting edge, artists like Rihanna, I am kind of interested in some things that are global, but at the same time, too, not too caught up in the pop aspect of African music that everybody thinks that is reflective of the continent, but bringing them much more deeper into the spiritual, yet groovy, yet progressive, contemporary, and cool dimension of the sounds of Africa, because I understand both dimensions in a much more deeper way. And I feel that now I'm positioned in a way to be able to create the right environment to also interface with artists of that caliber and artists of, that stature who want to have, an opportunity to really connect with the mother continent sonically, So that is kind of where, and then also, like the stuff that Madlib does, when I was in LA, I really love like Madlib and all of I was just like, what will happen if I have Madlib like here in Africa? I'm just working with him and working with, you know, other musicians and all of that. What will really come out of it? So it's almost like the Cali vibe and LA vibe and the US vibe. How does that work here? And even the roots, I've always like loved the roots. I'm like, what will happen if the roots are right here? Like really, fusing, throwing a wedge into like what they do, and birthing a new, sonic ideas based upon their approach to music and my approach to African music. What will be, so there is a great opportunity for new sounds, new ideas with me rooted here. And I feel that that is where I'm going to go in terms of the people that I want to collaborate with and the directions and the dimensions too that I will be seeking out. Shout out to you, Asia, for all the work that Fusicology is doing. Incredible in Los Angeles. All the Afrofunky family, who have been part of my journey in Los Angeles. All the incredible DJs who've come through, artists, the creative community in Los Angeles, the creative community globally, and artists who have been so impacted by, everybody talks about, people being impacted, but I feel that the creatives have been impacted by what is going on around the world, So my shout out to the people who are still holding it and are the curators of culture that is directing where the world is going. It's not politicians, it's the artists who are there. So my shout out will be more to we the creatives who are creating the new paradigm. That's my big shout out, is that more power to us, and may we infuse whatever is going on and whatever new chapter the world is going in with so much goodness, so much culture, so much vibe, and so much beats, so that it will be a new chapter, not only of the human family, but a new chapter of music and culture and creativity.